One of the toughest parts about trading is that we will always face pullbacks from massive runs. I don't know that we will face one tomorrow, but we will find out together in this thread. I want you to know that I will use the best of my ability to identify an upside or downside when shown. Let's begin. Welcome back to the channel on this Price Action Thunder Thursday. This is ARCa. Let's dive into ticker symbol FNGR. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by once again. Let's dive in to ticker symbol FNGR. Let's pull up the screen right over here, and let's speak about the channel that we used yesterday to identify that potential upside, right? So the reason we were able to know or see that we were able to that we were able to touch a potential $5.92 target was pretty simple, actually. This was a traditional breakout from a very standard play, right? So this is actually how you took that target. You take the width, right? You take the trend line from the top side of the bottom side of that channel, then you apply it to that area of breakout, and then that gave you a target of about 592 or 591, right? So I highlighted here for 592 because I felt that that would be the place that we would find the top side of the target. Now, please remember that we still have the SMA 100 right above us at about 599. Okay, so moving on, we were also able to tell that we would reach that 590 something target based on this formation. Remember that this is the ascending broadening wedge, and the take profit for this is a bearish formation, right? So the take profit for this was located right down here at the genesis of the formation at $5.87. That was another potential, right? So I was telling you that we're going to stack here, or we're going to gather all of these confluent targets. And usually when we have these types of targets all kind of rhyming together, and we have a validation with an upside pivot on momentum and using volatility, well, the retail or the sentiment in general will want to take price action to that target because everybody is obviously seeing it, right? So another reason we were able to tell that we would potentially reach that target is actually from this right angle triangle, right? So we took a trend line from the top side of the triangle to the very bottom side of the triangle, and we applied it to that breakout, and that gave us a target of about $5.99. So yet again, another reason that we would be able to touch that potential, what I called 592. So let's go ahead and continue on here, right? So I wanted to point out that we were at the top side of the bands here on Wednesday after hours, right? So I said that there's likely going to be a pullback back down to test the mean before we continue on to the upside, and which was conveniently titled, the video was conveniently titled, "Pullback Follows the Rip," right? So that's literally what I meant, right? So looks like we got a post market closure at about $5.94. I want you to be aware, right, that we still have that SMA 100 upside of us, right? But a very good thing here is that we have now converted the SMA 50 on the 4-hour, just like we did yesterday in the 3-hour, right? Here you go. This is the SMA 50, and this was my the potential little drawing that I would see the price action be, or I actually saw that this could be the trajectory that the SMA 50 could take on, right? So if you can look at this, right, let's just go ahead and mark off that target of about $5.99, which is just about $6. Of course, it's gonna pull back from there because that's naturally, it's a psychological target. I don't tend to believe in those too much, but we have to kind of put it there, anyway, right? So now coming back to this chart here, so we're gonna put together that 599. Just like this as well, right? So this could be the resistance, and just like we did yesterday, well, first of all, let's go ahead and get rid of the out of the reversion variance. Let's get rid of that. There we go. And also let's edit our moving averages so that we are able to identify only what we need to see here. And of course, it would be our SMA 50, just like we did yesterday on this chart over here, right? So we're going to do that same treatment here. Because we had, this was, let's see, Yeah, this is what we were talking about it, right? This would be the post market. Then it was the early pre market down here, and then price action did what it did, right? It started validating that support before a continuation onto the upside. So now, if we can focus on this chart here, that means that we would essentially face a potential pullback to around 582. Right. So now we're gonna have to make a range out of this, of course, because it's that's just the way things go. So 582, I would have to let me see if I can favor any target towards the downside here. This is where a lot of discretion comes in, and we tend to use this type of well, I tend to use this type of discretion as for my advantage, to my advantage. So here we go. Let's go ahead and mark off that 582. And then I want to start seeing what would be the most, I guess, the most relevant. Okay, this is one, right? Hold on. Let's see here. Do we have another somewhere around there? Let's see. I think that, yeah, actually, yeah, this may be, it may be good enough, right? So what I'm looking at here is this resistance. I'm looking at this wick downside here, right? I'm looking at this resistance here, and between all of that, I'm trying to kind of average it. So this is 572 to 582 could be a potential pullback for us to come back down and start testing the SMA 50 as a valid support, right? Because that's usually what happens. Now, the range to the upside, there is absolutely a range, and I can already see it. So I'm gonna go ahead and touch down on that 599, right? Just like we did here. But also, there's a 4-hour gap right here. So that would naturally be an area of resistance. So I would say 599 to 612 potential pullback, and then we would face a bounce somewhere from the targets of about 572 to 582 so far. But remember, this analysis is not done. It's just this is how I started, right? This is just how I identify the play, right? So this is what I'm talking about here. Potential pullback from this zone here. Then we'll come back down to either of these two here, and then we would face a bounce to the upside. And upon this bounce to the upside, then we could actually see a pullback from that. This is a potential, right, from the top side of the gap here. So we can use that gap as a resistance. Then we can use that pullback to validate the 599 as a valid support, and then continue on to the upside to where we could end up at a potential target of about $6 and around 40 cents, right? But it's very conditional. So we already have one candle closure upside of this SMA 50, just like we did yesterday. We need to have maybe one or two 4-hour closures upside of the SMA 50 without having a body like this, right? You see the moving average, and you see the body is actually coming below the moving average. That's not good. We need to make sure that we have a clean break for a validation for the upside. Take a look at this. We were observing this live, and I said that this is going to be the candle that likely has us shoot to the upside, and we would have to see if it closes without touching the moving average. And look at that. This is the one candle that did not touch the moving average or penetrated the downside or the underside of it. And once it closed, we got a tiny little pullback here for that 3-hour, for the next 3-hour candle. But of course, because we validated the SMA 50, the next one continued on to the upside to meet our eventual target. Right. So that's the treatment that I'm kind of giving again, because that's just how it is. Right. The trading is really based on conditions, right, on criteria. So in this case, let's just go ahead and kind of draw in the supposed trajectory here for the SMA 50. Right. So this is what I'm thinking here. Right. We'll get that pullback somewhere between 599 and 612. Right, then we'll get the we'll get the continuation to the upside, likely in the early pre-market. I'm not sure, and then we'll pull back to that SMA 14, SMA 50, sorry, and then we'll actually bounce from that. And okay, let me draw this one more time, because I don't want it to be released as the wrong information, right? So it would be something like this, right? Then we would come back down and start validating our SMA 50, right? So then once we do feel like we validated that, then we could come up to the gap, right? The gap that we spoke about here on the 4-hour target. So we'll come up to that gap, resist from that, bring the price action back down to start validating the $6 or the 5.99, right? Just like this. You must remember the confirmations too, right? Before a continuation onto the upside to where I feel we may be able to reach a price of about $6.40 based on this tweezer bottom. Okay, so this is the implied projection here. So now let's go ahead and validate this with the RSI. So on the RSI, yeah, it's looking very nice actually, and I can already see where the pullback sort of is here on the buy daily. Yeah, okay, so we have an upside pivot here on the 30-minute time frame. It is outside of the danger zone for a pullback, but we can actually see one maybe from the earlier time frames. Okay, so this could be an area for a pullback here. We are faced and pivoted towards the upside and in the gravitational zone that would essentially take us upward, right? But if we face a little bit of pressure here from the gravitational zone of the overbought percentile, then chances are is that we can come up like this, come back down for a temporary downside, meet that SMA 14 for a support, then we would continue onwards and upwards, right? So this is a potential path. Now, similar situation here, actually. I mean, this is just ever so slightly outside of the gravitational zone from the overbought percentile, and it could face a little bit of downside too. Now, if this one does face downside, that means that it would come back down and bounce from the gravitational zone and then continue, right? Just like this. Gravitational zone being 2% down or up from any of these pivot points of the junctions. Sorry. Yeah, so now let's look at the 4-hour time frame. 4-hour time frame is outside of the danger zone. In fact, it's at the 50% mark between the overbought percentile or the bull strength percentile, right? This would be the bull strength, and this is the bear strength, and weakness and weakness. Okay, so let's see here. This is the 8-hour time frame, which is basically telling us that we could actually continue on to the upside here after some type of a short pullback, right? So if that's the case, then this is getting very close to the gravitational zone, which would essentially pull us to the upside, and that would be highly ideal. Same situation here with the 12-hour time frame as it's getting very, very close to that gravitational zone. Let's see the daily. Okay. The daily time frame has not read the after hours price action, right? So this is likely going to just kind of surpass that. And if this surpasses that, that means that the buy daily will also surpass that tomorrow too at open. And of course, your 3-day would also surpass that too. In fact, I think we can take a look at when the closer is for the 3-day here real quick. Let's see. I think it was actually, yeah. Oh, whoa. That was good. Oh, damn. That is awesome. So yeah, 3-day closer just came in, and we got a little inverted hammer there with a validating candle. So this is the candle to close bullish in order for us to continue an upside here. So yep, 3-day time frame is very, very much powerful here, and I'm definitely a fan over what's being shown here. Let's see. Oh man, and we're getting ever so we're getting closer here. Let me see the buy daily. Okay, we got the buy daily golden cross here, SMA 50 over the SMA 200, and we're getting pretty close here too, right? So this is something that we should observe as we trade, right? So yeah, this is looking good, and as soon as this thing starts pivoting slightly to the upside, this crossing the SMA 200 on an upside pivot is highly powerful. All right, so that's yeah, that's looking mighty right there. All right, so and yeah, I think that these shorter time frames are, I'm sorry, the daily and the buy daily, I do think that they're going to be affected almost immediately. So let's observe the price action. You already know the play. I think the targets that I provided are pretty good. The next thing is that let's see. Yeah, 588 is this target here. Where did I say we would pull back to? Let's see here. Yeah, this would be these are the zones here. 582 to 572. Yeah, yeah. So that's essentially saying that in this particular play, that we may actually come back down to validate and support from the take profit of the ascending broadening wedge, because it's obviously being used, right? So yeah, that's also confluent with what we are speaking of here. Now, you know what? One more thing, I actually didn't even put any geometrics in line. So let's go ahead and just take into account this. I'm actually may actually take this range here, right? So the swing high to the swing low. So let me do that with a fib and see if we're matching any of the targets there. Well, we want to see any of the 272 or the 618 targets present for that 640 target, right? So okay, so here are the fibs. Yeah, well, look at that. Oh, what did I just say, right? The 272 targets for the 640 target. So yeah, looking very nice. I do suspect that this is a high probability for tomorrow. And if I can highlight the 3618, let's see. Yeah, I think it would actually be safer to do it just under the 618, which would be at about 650. So I think that's the total range topside for tomorrow. Right, 640 to about 650. And I know I put it as a 641, but it's definitely the 372 at 640, okay? So let's just go ahead and try to get that tight. There we go. All right, yeah, good deal. Sorry it's so late, team. I actually had a tough time with my little boy. He had a tantrum like no other. But everything is good now. Please take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment, as I cannot suggest for you to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. Never, forever. I need you to do your own due diligence and everything will be cool. But with that said, team, I wish you well a very, very good rest of your night. And I will catch you at the bell mañana. Adios.